this next head coach, this one, I separated him from the rest because I really didn't think he was going to get fired until Ian Rappaport was on NFL Total Access, and he just kept like hinting at it. He'd be like talking, and he'd be like, "Yeah, we've got these head coach firings," and they'd be talking about Belichick, and he'd be like, "Mike Vrabel might be a guy who goes to New England if Belichick gets fired," and everyone was kind of like, "What?" So Mike Vrabel was fired this morning. And I was, as I said, surprised by this. I think a lot of people were. 2021 Coach of the Year, got the Titans to an AFC Championship game. He led Tennessee to 4 consecutive winning seasons after 2018, but the last 2 years they finished below 500 by multiple games. So rough last 2 years. I have thoughts on this. I obviously don't like it, but I don't want to. I want to let you guys have your guys' takes first before I get too specific into mine. So, Chus, what do you have?
Yeah, I think it was kind of a questionable move by Tennessee to let Vrabel go. Obviously, you haven't had 2 really good seasons, but I really think that the Titans have just have been trying to figure out like different parts of their team altogether. I mean, last season was before Will Levis. They had Ryan Tannehill, and then they put in Malik Willis, and Malik Willis didn't do well, and it was just a cluster happening over in Tennessee. And now you have Will Levis playing, but he's playing okay. He's only had one big breakout game, really, and he hasn't really done a whole lot since. I mean, he's winning games, and he's not doing real well in some others, but he's there. But obviously, like, with Derrick Henry, leaving and stuff like that, your sole team was a lot on Derrick Henry. You don't have as many like you have good defensemen, but they're not like star worthy, and your wide receiver core is a little weaker than some other teams with only just D-Hop more or less carrying a lot of times, making those spectacular catches and whatnot. So, I mean, they have a lot of room. They need to rebuild, but I don't think firing Vrabel was the answer to help them rebuild, because now if they bring in whoever they bring in as their head coach, whether it's a new whether it's a coordinator who's never head coached before, whether it's somebody from colleges, or maybe it's something maybe they do pull from another head coach or something like that, whatever the case may be, it may not be the answer, because I do think Vrabel could be really good. And he already had a really good season a couple of years ago, so I don't think it's impossible for Vrabel to bounce back. That team that he did really well with was a very different team than the Tennessee Titans are currently over the last couple of seasons. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to, like identify his coaching level based on 2 seasons where, some of the best coaches, including Bill Belichick, all have those struggling seasons. And we've seen it with Bill Belichick this season. He just doesn't have the players. Just something's not clicking, and he is noted as probably one of, if not the best coach of all time. And everybody's kind of like that. Everybody kind of goes through their ups and downs. Okay, I get it. Mike Tomlin is an anomaly, but it doesn't matter. It does not matter. I think Vrabel will be good somewhere else. So, but yeah.
We got Stan.
I was about to ask while you were saying that, so why doesn't this same clemency go to Mike Tomlin? Why are you so tough on him? I'm not get it, but
I sometimes I think it's just luck at times. Sometimes I just wonder if it's luck, because sometimes some of these games, not necessarily like this season, but there's been some seasons where we've lucked out towards the end of the season, finishing 8-8, or 9-8, or whatever. So this season was just a little different, but yeah, I'm still going to be hard on him because it's stagnant. But Tennessee's also struggled over the last, many years. After they stepped on the terrible towel, it took them a long time to recover. So, and then they finally did and had that really crazy playoff run with Derrick Henry. I mean, they have the potential to be good, and I think they can be good. They just need to rebuild a little bit and see where they go from there. But yeah, Mike Tomlin, on the other hand, Tennessee's been to an AFC championship sooner than Mike Tomlin has. So come on, Michael Tomlin, what are you doing? Let's make this happen this year, right? Except for Josh. Josh is going to be angry if I say that.
Going back to Vrabel,
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of the end of an era at Tennessee. I mean, you talked about Henry moving on, but another big star, big name on that team is moving on, even though he hasn't been playing too well, is Ryan Tannehill, right? I mean, I think it makes sense for that reason to go ahead and take a different approach, because a big part of their offense was supposed to be Henry and Tannehill, right? Those are the two biggest names that Vrabel had to work with on that offense. And it's not that he wasn't able to make it work with Henry, but now that both those guys are moving on, I think it makes sense to get a coach who can fit the pieces you have left and hopefully lead you to whatever your next generation of stars on that team ends up being, whether it's Will Levis or a different direction. For me, I think the decision to get rid of Vrabel is bad because Vrabel is good, but it's good because the Titans are bad. It's a weird one because it's to me, moving on and trying to set a new standard makes a little bit more sense because you're moving on from probably the biggest tight end of all time in Derrick Henry. So I think it's a
Derrick Henry's a running back.
Titan.
Oh, Titan. Okay, I thought you were saying tight end.
No, Titan.
You're good.
Biggest Tennessee Titan of all. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, Derrick Henry, like 8 years with this team, he's been the guy. He's been in the league. He's been pretty much a top 5 running back for all of those years, maybe. I mean, maybe like 6 or 7 of them. I don't know, but he's been up there in the league. So I think now that you're moving on from him, you're moving on from Tannehill, it makes sense to get a coach who fits who you have left.
Yeah, so I think this was a terrible decision on the Titans' part. That is my take. I think this was awful. Like, I think a lot of players want to go play for Mike Vrabel, and whoever is in charge of bringing in the players and sending the players away has just done an awful job of bringing that in. I mean, D-Hop went there, DeAndre Hopkins. And you want to talk about these last 2 losing seasons? Well, let's go back to the start of one of these. Or let's go back to the start of these 2 losing seasons. A.J. Brown was traded on draft night. And who did they replace him with? Treylon Burks. Maybe you could argue DeAndre Hopkins was an attempt to replace him this year, but A.J. Brown was a receiving yards leader this year, and Mike Vrabel was vocally against that trade. That was not Mike Vrabel's decision. And then you tell Mike Vrabel, hey, also, we're going to draft Malik Willis, and he might be the quarterback of the future. We don't know, which he wasn't. We knew he wasn't going to be that good. We said that on the show during the draft. And Ryan Tannehill is like, no, it's my position. I want it. I'm not going to help him. He said that in the press conference. So then you've got that issue going on. There's no weapons on this offense. I guess maybe Okonkwo and occasionally DeAndre Hopkins. Derrick Henry is getting older for a running back. Still a stud, don't get me wrong. But he is not the same. He's a 2016 rookie. He's not to the point where you can put the entire offense on his back anymore. It just doesn't happen. Still a stud, but you still need to have a passing game. With a rookie quarterback, you're not going to have that. I love Will Levis. This is not a knock on Will Levis. It's not a knock on D-Hop. It's not even a knock on Treylon Burks. But there is not a lot of talent for Vrabel to work with. And you traded away one of the best receivers in the NFL and then got mad when your team got worse. And you gave him nothing to work with. I don't know what the Titans expected. I think that Mike Vrabel is going to end up being one of the first hired head coaches. I think he's probably going to go to New England, where he played, if Bill Belichick is fired. Because when he was there for, I think, a Ring of Honor speech, he was saying we are Patriots. And the fans love Mike Vrabel. Nobody hates Mike Vrabel. He's a 2021 Coach of the Year. He's been to an AFC Championship game, multiple winning seasons. He's proved he can coach. I think this was a terrible idea, and they should have given him some actual weapons. We'll see what happens in Tennessee, though.
Thanks for watching that video, guys. If you want to check out a most recent full episode of No Buts About It, that's going to be right over here. Yeah, right there. Check that out. And if you just want to see more short clips, we're going to have one right over here for you to watch. Check out No Buts About It on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts, so you can listen to us on the go. Once again, have a great day and go do something nice for someone.